lover? You want to wrestle on TV like the Hawk? You want to drop your beak and have 50 fans hooting your name? Who doesn't? Dude, the Hawk is starting up his own wrestling company, Ring of the Hawk. You could be on the show. To apply, you must meet the following criteria, dude. Be at least 220 pounds and 6 foot tall. Be willing to do the J-O-B to the H-A-W-K any night, any day. Ha ha! You must have an interesting personality and be a man or a bird. Either way, dude, as long as you're not a nerd. Ha ha! And if you're a cruiserweight, shove it. There's plenty of petite wrestling companies that love it. Ring of the Hawk. It makes the ladies squawk. Man!
Shove It Squad, as promised, I've watched Impact, and I'm bringing you 4 episodes in one video. For those of you who have watched my Ring of King series, I'm reviewing Impact the same way. I like to have fun and mess around, so try not to get too offended by anything I say.
Wah, wah, wah. The little rascals are awesome. How dare you make fun of them?
Shut up or I'll smack you one. Who cares if they're your favourite team? Stop spraying blood into your panties and stop taking wrestling so seriously. Also, try not to get too offended by my opinions on Eddie Edwards. He is a great wrestler, but he should not be the world champion of any company. It doesn't matter if you like him, he's a cruiserweight. Yes, he's been through some insanely tough battles in the ring, but that doesn't mean he should be the face of the company. He's only here because he's trusty and reliable. I'm also reviewing Impact this way due to logistics. There's no way I can do a weekly video, as I would have to sacrifice one of my other videos, and I cannot for the life of me possibly sacrifice that, as I just love making videos every week and getting called a racist. So watch this video and let me know if you like this format. Don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing, shove it down below. I will just say that this show isn't very good. The wrestling quality is, and they do a decent job of building up to the big shows, but apart from that. Anyway, enough chit chat, let's shove it. The show starts out with EC3 cutting a creepy promo and throwing shade at WWE. Looks like Vince has aged him about 15 years. Following this, we have Willie Mack challenging Chris Bay for the X Division Championship, which he lost at Slammiversary. Quick rematch here. Madison Rayne is back on commentary for these shows. I don't know if my ears can take listening to her for 4 shows in a row. Where's Don Callis gone? Anyway, Chris Bay wins after hitting the Art of Finesse. I can't really buy someone as skinny as him beating up a man the size of Willie Mack, but at least I like Chris Bay's personality, so I'll give him a free ride. Josh Matthews then announces that the North will be defending their tag team belts against the Motor City Machine Guns, who made the surprise return at Slammiversary. The Bold Brothers are out next, who also showed up at Slammiversary. They have their names on their tops so people know who they are. The small one says that he's excited to be an Impact, but couldn't sound more bored. They keep talking about how Impact was trending worldwide at Slammiversary. Who the hell cares? They then grab some beer cans and Ace Austin and his boyfriend come out to interrupt them. Their music is the worst thing I've ever heard. Ace Austin says that he wants them to apologise for attacking them at Slammiversary, and then he slaps the beers out of their hands. They all then fight for like a second, but the Bold Brothers kick them out. Heath is shown backstage, but he can't get in the building because he's a nobody. It didn't take him long to become a joke on this show. Rhino challenges Hernandez to fight in the ring after they had that funny brawl over some money before the pay-per-view. I'm not sure quite what this is leading to. We cut backstage to Chris Bay, who is getting a massage from Ace Austin and a blonde lady. A bold jobber then walks in and congratulates him on his title defence, and then he offers to watch his back. What a loser. Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz take on Havoc and Nevaeh next. This match is a bad one, and it features the weakest looking chair shot I've ever seen. Nevaeh and Havoc get the DQ victory. We move on. Sami Callihan is backstage complaining to Shamrock that they lost the tag title match at the pay-per-view. Shamrock says that he doesn't have time to have this conversation. Elsewhere backstage, RVD is with Katie Forbes promoting her adult photos. I don't want to see them. There's a match up next. Hernandez is out to the ring and he's got some strange facial hair. He's going to take on Rhino. Or is he? Rhino gores him straight away and it's over. I guess Hernandez will never be the next Mexican icon for Impact. Team Canada 2.0 are backstage, boasting about their tag title reign being over a year, and they threaten the Motor City Machine Guns. Elsewhere backstage, the generic blonde interviewer is with Deonna Purrazzo. I really like her voice. She sounds like she's on the verge of tears, but also threatening at the same time. Sounds like the way I spent my childhood. A woman who looks like a northern coal miner then walks up and says that she is the new #1 contender for the title. Deonna attacks her. She's already looking like a star. If only the men's champion looked like one. Indy Edwards is out next. He's dressed like a 14-year-old up the skate park. Edwards gets on the mic and talks about his win and says that this feels right. I'd say it feels close to something else ending in "ite." He just says he'll be a fighting champion on TV each week. Right, that's my toilet break match sorted every week then. Eric Young then comes out looking like the son of the Good Brothers. Eddie says he doesn't like EY for attacking Rich Swann at Slammiversary. EY talks for ages and then Eddie jumps over the top rope and attacks him like he insulted his mum. Moose is backstage saying he's not interested in challenging Indy Edwards, and instead he challenges Fallah Bahh to a match tonight. He's all over this show. Eddie Edwards is now in the car park. He's trying to warm up his hands. Another 14-year-old then walks up to him and challenges him for his belt. They agree to settle it at 4:30 in the subway next week. The star of the show is out next, defending his fake title against Fallah Bahh. For some reason it gets an official introduction from Dave Penza, but it's meant to be a fake belt. The highlight of the match is Moose calling Fallah Bahh a fat piece of crap. Moose wins the match with a spear in what was essentially a squash match. Suddenly a homeless man appears in the ring. Sorry, I mean EC3. He attacks Moose and then legs it. Backstage, the Bold Brothers are jumped by the Oi 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 guys, but once again the Bold Brothers are too hard. In another part of the backstage arena, Rosemary is with some goofball making bad sexual innuendo when Taya Valkyrie walks up. They are playing cheesy sitcom music and then Rosemary starts teleporting jobbers into the room. It's really strange, I have no idea what's going on, it looks so fake. Apparently it's going to be a new reality TV show called Wrestle House. Next up is the tag title match. The Guns are out first and I really miss their old theme music. The champions are Team Canada, which comprise of a normal looking guy and one who looks like he has problems. Alex Shelley gets isolated for absolutely ages. With the Canadians in full control, they lose the plot as the man with the problems decides to randomly do a moonsault for absolutely no reason and he misses. Sabin gets the tag and beats them up for a while. The North then get back on top with their tag team moves, really causing damage, before Sabin scores a pinfall. The Guns are the new two-time tag team champions in a really good match. The show then ends with a small ginger man sneaking into the building. You're too late, Heath, the show's over. The next show starts out with a 14-year-old Indian... The next show starts out with a 14-year-old boy skipping to the ring. Trey Miguel will be challenging Eddie Edwards for the title. This guy must be tiny because Eddie's already a cruiserweight. Remember when world champions were twice the size of you? Now you're twice the size of them. It is a great back and forth match, but it all goes wrong for Trey as he misses a split-legged moonsault. He does manage to recover by hitting a Pele kick. If you love kicks and flips, this is the match for you. Trey nearly beats Eddie like 3 times before nailing a Tiger Driver, but Trey kicks out. Eddie then takes a knee to the face and then bounces off the ropes and hits the Boston Knee Party to retain his title. Eric Young then walks out to threaten Eddie, but not much happens here. Later tonight we'll be seeing Deonna Purrazzo taking on Kimberly the Clown, and RVD and Katie Forbes will be showing off some new pictures. The premiere of the new reality TV show Wrestle House is next. Let me tell you, this is where the show starts pissing me off. Wrestle House can shove it. Rosemary and Taya are arguing whilst a bunch of jobbers watch. Taya tries to leave, but Abyss randomly appears and blocks her in the doorway. It looks like some dodgy CGI. It's basically a rip-off of Big Brother. Tommy Dreamer then walks in as the host. Then there's a lot of ECW jokes to put him over and lots of inside wrestling terms. Not gonna lie, I hated this. Why does this show have to be so goofy and embarrassing? Then there's a break and then back to Wrestle House we go again. All the wrestlers are fake fighting, and then a northern coal miner tries to make them all be friends. Never have I ever seen such a big bunch of nerds in all my life. Tommy says the winner of the show will win $1 million and says that they all have been hand-picked. Yeah, hand-picked because Impact's got nothing better for you guys to do. Everyone then starts racing to claim a bedroom. They continue making inside jokes. I hate everybody who was involved with this. An obese man and Crazy Steve then start fighting over who's allowed to sleep in the ring. So then they make them have a match. The winner of this match will be allowed to sleep in the ring. They proceed to have the fakest looking wrestling match ever. And then the fat boy hits a bubba bomb and a submission, whilst the fat on his body ripples in the wind. Remember when wrestling used to be cool? I would genuinely not want to swap places with a single guy involved with this embarrassment. It's over. Fallah Bahh and TJ Perkins are backstage talking to a bold jobber and threatening Chris Bay. The jobber then runs off to find Chris Bay, panting, and he's out of breath like he's on a cartoon show. Chris Bay is one of the most normal looking people on this show, and the bold man says that TJ Perkins and Bahh have threatened him, and they should team up. There's then an interview of Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. They talk about their problems with the Bold Brothers, and they say that the Bold Brothers will take on the Oi 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 guys tonight. The North are then cutting a promo about what they're going to do in their rematch for the tag titles against the Guns and how upset they are about losing the titles. Ethan Page then starts to cry for real. What a pussy. EC3 is then cutting another promo about how he's a failure. This lighting is really not doing him any favours. He needs to get on the Nivier. EC3 says he's going to destroy his past. I know how you feel, brother. There's a lot of things I wish I could destroy from my past. The only other star on this show, Moose, is being interviewed next, and he says he'll defend his title when a small ginger man walks up to him. He must have slept in the building because he broke in at the end of the last show. What's he been doing all this time? Moose says that they will have a fight. Apparently, if Heath wins this match next week, he will get a slot on the roster. Great, more jobbers. Kimberly the Clown is out for a match next. I was wrong when I said there were only 2 stars on this show, because Deonna Purrazzo had a star-making performance at Slammiversary. Surprisingly, Kimberly the Clown gets a lot of offense in. In fact, she almost beats her up loads of times. This is ridiculous. She's a jobber, but she's taking the champion to her limits. Deonna finally snaps her arms and then gets her to tap. She literally did nothing until the last few seconds. Jordynne Grace then comes out with her arm in a sling, but then she takes it off and beats the hell out of Deonna. Why are the knockouts badasses and the men are losers? No wonder Tessa had to be the champion of the men's division. It all makes sense now. Katie Forbes is walking backstage and she sees Sami Callihan sitting on a box looking depressed. She calls security as she thinks he's a fan that's broken into the building. He looks so annoyed. He hates being treated like a loser. Back to Wrestle House, oh for God's sake. Johnny Swinger keeps trying to get Crazy Steve to share a bed with him. The Dinas are arguing over who was snoring. Tommy Dreamer then puts them in a match to decide who was snoring. They all then start chanting ECW. A cartoon cockerel from the Teletubbies is then shown walking across the screen to show that it's morning time. What the hell am I watching here? The Dinas are in the ring fighting next. They continue to use inside wrestling terms. Stop trying to appeal to the internet fans, you idiots. You will never be cool again. The match goes on for ages with them accusing each other of snoring. This is the most childish wrestling I've ever seen. The bigger Dina then hits a black hole slam for the 3. I wonder if any of these guys have ever been laid. It's basically paparazzi productions, but all the guys are out of shape, embarrassing, and have no lives outside of wrestling, so they've got nothing to bring to the show, have they? Back in the arena, Shamrock is backstage. He tells Sammy that he's leaving, and he might be done. I know how he feels, I might be too. But hold your horses, you thought the bad segments were over? Well, I've got another one for you. Katie Forbes and RVD come out with her dancing to Rob's theme music whilst his voice plays in the background. What follows is one of the worst wrestling segments I've ever seen. Katie keeps stumbling over her words and starts doing a cringy countdown to reveal her pictures. I might have to turn this off, I can't watch. Her photos then start displaying on the Titantron, but Sami Callihan's face is covering up all of her pictures, saying subscribe to my website. Katie starts throwing a tantrum, then it ends. Good. So we went for something completely childish to something that only the sickest individual would enjoy. I don't know what to think. Talking of childish, the Little Rascals are talking backstage with some fake laughter music playing in the background because they're not funny. They talk about Power Rangers and the wrestler called Suicide. He then appears in the room with them. They all then get high while Suicide dances. Suicide then gets the munchies and falls asleep. Next up, Josh Matthews interviews Rich Swann about how injured he is. The Oi 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 guys are out next. These 2 Mohawk guys attacked the Bold Brothers last week. Ace Austin comes out to watch the match, but he almost falls asleep. Gallows admittedly is better than his TNA days, which he should be after everything he's done over the last few years. They eventually hit their finisher and put away the smaller Oi 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 guy. Madman Fulton then attacks the Bold Brothers, and all 4 of them fight to the back. They eventually brawl to the outside of the arena. Gallows then kicks Fulton, who crashes into the cameraman, and the show ends. That was one of the worst hour and a halves I've ever spent in my life. I'm not even trying to be funny here. Wrestle House is not funny, and it takes up so much time. Paparazzi Productions was funny because it was normal lad humour and it was near the knuckle. This Wrestle House stuff is just jokes about snoring and wrestling, and that only appeals to wrestling nerds on the internet. They could find it funny, but no one else does. Oh, you've got B.O. Oh, you've got Bob Orton Jr. It's not funny. Episode 3 now. I feel exhausted from what I've been watching. This show starts out with Heath taking on Moose. If Heath can win, he will win an Impact contract. If Impact have learned anything from their mistakes, they should not devalue their stars by instantly having them lose to an ex-WWE guy. Besides that, how can you lose to a wrestler called Heath, for God's sake? It's a really good match, but you have a WWE jobber coming close to beating the hell out of your top star. There's a ref bump and then Heath hits his finisher, and Heath has him covered, but the ref can't count the pin. Heath tries to revive the ref, but then Moose hits the low blow, and then he rolls him up for the slowest 3 count ever. How and why was that a 3? At least Impact made the right decision. Maybe there is hope for them after all. Goodbye Heath, good riddance. Willie Mack is backstage being interviewed by his best friend Rich Swann, who is making a big announcement later tonight. I actually like Willie Mack for some reason. EC3 cuts another promo about controlling his narrative. Says he wants to reclaim the World Heavyweight Championship, but he doesn't want the real belt, he wants Moose's belt. Jimmy Jacobs then brings out the Motor City Machine Guns for an interview segment. They talk about what they've been up to since 20 2012. It was quite interesting. They say that they're here to see if they can still compete in 2020. The Canadians then come out to interrupt the interview, or should I call them the pussies, because they were crying last time I saw them. Ethan Page is the least cool guy I've ever seen, and he's on the verge of a meltdown here. I never thought the bold member of the North would be the cool one. Alex Shelley then calls Josh Alexander Rick Steiner Jr. That made me laugh. They say that they're here for a rematch at the next pay-per-view. Backstage, Kaylee the Clown barges into Deonna Purrazzo's dressing room. She offers to take out Jordynne Grace in return for a title shot. Didn't she lose to Deonna last week? Why would she get a shot? Next up, it's Wrestle House. Oh, for God's sake, kill me. I thought this was over. Taya Valkyrie says she hates all of them. I know how she feels. She tells them they all have BO and she gives them a present, which is a personal grooming kit. I don't think she's lying. Susie apparently fancies the bigger Dina brother. Johnny Swinger is hitting on Alicia Edwards and Susie. Tommy decides to make a match between the three of them as a handicap match. They proceed to have the fakest looking wrestling match I've ever seen. The girls hit a double body slam and pin Johnny Swinger. The wrestlers that are stood around the ring keep saying how embarrassing it is. Yeah, they're right. Alicia Edwards is literally 5 foot tall. The Northern coal miner then tells Johnny Bravo that he can't leave until he takes the hint from Rosemary. I don't get it. What's the hint? What's the storyline? Is he in the closet and Rosemary fancies him? Who cares? It's stupid. Is he a wrestler? I don't know. I've not seen him do anything since I've been watching this, and I can't say from the look of him I'm too thrilled to watch him in a match anyway. The Bold brothers are in the parking lot and someone has messed with their car. At least they have some decent wheels. Ace Austin then accuses them of trying to drink drive, and then they get arrested. Wow, what a weak reason to get arrested. It was 2 cans of beer. This show is so lame. The police officers didn't even test him for drink or see him drinking them. Why did he get arrested? There's a short hype package for the debut of Brian Myers. Great. A jobber who was in the GFW invasion angle. Please sign some main eventers, this is ridiculous. If I was Impact, I'd reach out to Hannibal. He's Canadian, but I'm pretty sure he hates your show, but he's more legit than most of your roster. Eddie Edwards is out next for an open challenge, and it turns out that he's taking on Sami Callihan. It should be a good match, but as Sami Callihan comes out, he's attacked by RVD and Katie Forbes as revenge for ruining their photo shoot. Sami Callihan looks like a fat mole. I know he's a good wrestler, but he looks like a lost nasty boy. Eddie Edwards almost pins him straight away with a Tiger Driver. It was an amazing match as you would expect. Sami even almost wins with the pile driver, but Eddie gets his foot on the ropes. Sami then brings a chair into the match, but then changes his mind, and then Eddie hits 2 knees and wins the match. What an idiot Sami is. I have no idea what they're trying to do with Sami here. Why was he scared to use the chair? Back to Wrestle House. Rosemary and Tyra are looking for Johnny Bravo, but the Northern coal miner walks up to them and told them that he left, so then Rosemary flips out at this news. I think she's just trying to get everyone to leave so the show will end. I don't know, I don't really get it. Rosemary is mad, so she says that she wants to wrestle her, and then she fights her while she's wearing her Jigglypuff top. It's another completely fake wrestling match. I have no idea what the point is. Rosemary loses as she's distracted when Johnny Bravo returns for some reason, and then she gets kicked in the face. Okay, apparently he does like Rosemary, but doesn't want Taya to know that he does. It's awkward, it's childish, who cares? Anderson is on the phone to Gallows in jail, and then Ace Austin makes fun of him, so then Anderson attacks him. At least he's acting like a man. He gets double teamed and left laying. Hernandez is backstage asking the Oi 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 guys to help him get his money back. What a riveting storyline that is. Chris Bay is out next. He's becoming one of my favourite people on the show. At least he likes women and money. You know, it's a good theme song. He's more relatable than most of these nerds on the show. He teams up with a small, bold jobber. How is this guy on TV? I'm sorry, he might be a good wrestler, but what is the point in him? Look at him. They are taking on Fallah Bahh and TJ Perkins. Chris Bay and TJ Perkins have amazing in-ring chemistry. This needs to be the next X Division title match. The bold man is continuously trying to be Chris Bay's friend, but TJB catches him in an armbar and makes him tap. Rich Swann then comes out to make an announcement. He gives a very long emotional speech. I thought he was going to say that he was fine and then announce that he's going to attack EY, but he doesn't. Instead, he says he has to retire due to Eric Young's attack. The face wrestlers then come out to give him a round of applause. Rich is crying and doesn't want to leave the ring. As he makes it to the top of the ramp, Eric Young storms out to attack him out of nowhere. Damn, that was actually really well set up. Rick is screaming in pain. It all seems so real. It's over. That's the best thing they've done in 3 shows. About time. Episode 4 starts out with Eric Young and Willie Mack brawling backstage. They eventually brawl out to the ring only to get separated, and then it gets turned into a match. During the match, Willie decides that he doesn't care, and then he brings a steel chair into the ring to attack Eric Young with, but Eric Young hits the pile driver instead. The Bold brothers are backstage causing trouble. Then it's, Wrestle House. Taya Valkyrie tells all the jobbers that they're there to watch a movie about Taya Valkyrie's greatest wrestling victories. The big Adina is missing for some reason, and then they all make toilet jokes about him and Susie having diarrhea. Rosemary and Crazy Steve are glaring at each other, and then they share a chair and make jokes about the decay. It turns out Susie and the big Dina are missing because they're going on a date. I don't get any of these jokes that they're making. I hate it. Rhino is backstage and he's jumped by the oi 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 guys who steal his money. Kimberly the Clown out next, but she's taking on someone that this show's been missing. Jordynne Grace is back in action. As usual, she's awesome. She's so intense and believable. She's one of the few people on this show who knows what she's doing. The match is surprisingly even though. I guess they don't see Kimberly as a jobber anymore. Kimberly messes up the Swanton Bomb.
Dude, I was watching TNA the other day, and this girl kicked out of my Swanton Bomb finishing maneuver. Can't believe it, man. I'm going back to Carolina to see my stoner friend Shannon. I'm going to show him this, man.
Jordynne Grace then taps her out in the submission. Backstage is a locker room talk segment with the ginger Madison Rayne. Madison says that the show has a new sponsor and it's Heath, who was paid for this time. Remember when the NWO did this and it was really interesting and cool? Well, when Heath does it, it's completely goofy and he gets cut off mid-sentence. He's already a complete joke. Madison Rayne brings out her guests for the show. It's RVD and Katie Forbes. Have you ever seen three such dislikable people in one segment? They make out whilst Madison Rayne tries to interview them and then she runs away. They then start interviewing each other and it's all soppy and embarrassing. Sami Callihan then glitches into the room and attacks RVD. Katie then gets him with the hairspray and then they both beat down Sami Callihan. Backstage, the three little rascals are talking about something and then one of them, who looks like the nerdy American Pie character, admits he stole EC3's used sweaty hoodie. What a loser. Moose is scaring the hell out of them and then he challenges Trey to a fight tonight. Back on Wrestle House, Crazy Steve is trying to get Rosemary to admit she's jealous of Taya Valkyrie's relationship with Johnny Bravo. Susie and the Big Dean are still having their date, but they have diarrhea. The two fat boys then start fighting over food, and then Tommy Dreamer decides to put them in a match. The winner of this match is officially labelled the most obese wrestler in the world. I just can't believe I'm watching this. The slightly less fat one wins the match, and he's now in love with Rosemary apparently. The Virtuoso is backstage threatening Jordynne Grace, who challenges her to a 30-minute Iron Woman match. Holy crap, that's going to be a good match. I can't wait for that one. If I can hang in there, that is. Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz are taking on Havoc and Nevaeh next in a no DQ tag match, but they hide on the ramp and then jump them during their entrance. Something about Nevaeh just isn't clicking with me. She's a bit bland. It's a nothing match apart from the finish, where Kieran Hogan kicks Havoc off the ring apron. Kira Hogan then puts Nevaeh away in the middle of the ring. The Bold Brothers are backstage, still looking for Ace Austin. Elsewhere backstage, Moose is also walking around, and when a hologram of EC3 appears on the wall, nothing really happens, he just threatens Moose. Because God hates me, Suicide is taking on one of the little rascals next. I'm just going to skip this to the end of the match because I'm sick of watching little men fly around the ring at this point. Wait, the Bold Brothers come out during the match and attack everyone. They lay them out really easily. Finally, something interesting happens. They grab a mic and threaten Ace Austin, and then he appears on the TV screen. This guy is so nerdy and lame, he's not funny. His voice sounds like death. They agree to fight in a match next week. The Impact Flashback of the Week is up next. They have got a lot shorter, I'll be pleased to tell you. This week is Cody Rhodes versus Eddie Edwards, the definition of a piss break match. Two men who are not real main eventers. Skip. Chris Bay, the most normal man on the show, is backstage with the bold Indian jobber. He brings up that TJ Perkins beat him last week. He then suggests that Chris Bay makes it a triple threat match for the X Division title next week. He agrees. There's then another promo for Brian Jobbers, who's debuting soon. Great, can't wait. Back in Wrestle House, more diarrhea jokes. The Big Dina gets scared and runs off because all the men on this show are pussies. A woman with yellow hair then walks up to Susie. Susie says that the little piss-coloured haired woman gave her bad dating advice, and then they will fight in the ring. The piss-coloured hair lady is 4 foot tall, so it's bad. Why did Impact hire so many bad wrestlers? I know they're desperate, but come on. Crazy Steve is the only interesting part of this. He keeps shouting out random things. Susie then rolls her up and pins her. Taya then comes out and is calling them all losers. She's the only one who said anything sensible on this whole show. The Northern Coal Miner, who is the #1 contender for the Knockouts title, then challenges her to a match, but Taya backs down. Indy Edwards comes out next to challenge Eric Young, but instead Brian Jobbers comes out to make his debut. The man who was part of the failed GFW invasion of Impact back a few years ago. He looks like he's never lifted a weight in his life. I've snapped logs across my leg bigger than this guy's body. His arms are so small that they're almost invisible. His beard is thicker than his puny arms. Hire some goddamn main eventers. His gimmick is that he's a professional wrestler and he's wearing a Smurf outfit. Great, really fascinating. What can I say about this match? It's the same match I've seen Eddie Edwards in every week. It's really good, but it's the same thing every week. Why aren't the men on this show doing anything interesting? Eddie Edwards wins the match with a Boston knee party again, and then the show ends. So that was an interesting 4 shows. Next up, we have these, I guess, fake pay-per-views. They're not real pay-per-views, but they have some good matches announced. It's called Emergence. It's going to be spread over 2 weeks. I will put them together in one video. I'm actually looking forward to the knockout match and the tag title match. Apart from that, admittedly, the buzzer's worn off from Slammiversary. The knockouts are great, but the male roster is terrible. Hire some goddamn main eventers. If I was running a wrestling company, I'd put a weight limit on the wrestlers that I hired. £220 and over. And if you don't agree with that, I'll hit you with a brick.